Queens Voice, Peter Kefalas reporting from GOP meeting here in the Rockaways. You've seen this guy's face on our channel a few times. Henry Casey, nice to see you again.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to see you always. As our audience knows, we're getting a little bit closer to the election coming up November. It's 2025, obviously. And as you know from our previous chats with Henry, he's running for Queens Borough President. Henry, what's changed since we spoke last? What have you been up to in the campaign?
We've been up to hitting the streets from here in the Rockaway all the way to North Queens, shaking hands, cultivating relationships with the people, really listening to what their issues are. And as I spoke about earlier, I'm truly sick and tired of people feeling that their government isn't meeting the expectation, particularly when it comes to public safety, education, and housing.
And is that what you're hearing from the people throughout the different areas of Queens, that public safety is a big concern? We've spoken about the illegal aliens, the crime, our own criminals. Is that still a takeaway from when you're going to Queens?
I mean, it just keeps happening, and the more we dive deep into it, you see more things happening, and as we discussed, the pushing in broad daylight into the subway, in the train, right? Somebody being set on fire in the train, and stabbings, and migrants shooting, and gangs, and all these things that really affect the quality of lives in our community, and yet no one's doing anything about it. And in fact, these criminals are feeling emboldened to continue committing these acts of violence.
And the citizens are terrified.
They're terrified. And we got to put a stop to that.
So obviously, I know your big component is public safety, obviously. Obviously, there's a lot of work to be done. With Trump just winning the second term, obviously we're seeing the mass deportations take place day one. We see them throughout the major cities, mostly sanctuary cities like New York. But this is going to continue for years and years. And do you see yourself, basically, the principal thing for you is still public safety, crime, right?
Absolutely, that's big for me. And a lot of times people ask me, because I always say, I'm a doer, I'm not a speaker. And a lot of these politicians, they make big promises and never put any action or put any efforts into fulfilling their promises. It's all about action. And for me, part of the solution to this is our budget priorities. You look at how they're diverting capital to nonsense, waste for budget, particularly with migrants and that sort of thing. And
a lot of our citizens suffering.
A lot of our citizens are suffering.
Our schools.
Our schools are lagging behind. And even look at the way we're teaching and training our kids nowadays. They're not going to be able to compete in the future. And so, more importantly, we have to get our budget priorities right.
So we got to spend the money appropriately.
We got to support our law enforcement partners now more than ever before.
Well, listen, Queens Voice, you've heard it again from Henry Casey. Vote for Ike, 2025, Queens Borough President. We've got to get rid of Do Nothing Donovan, because obviously Donovan Richards has let us all down as Queens residents.
Absolutely.
And Henry's still running on public safety and spending the taxpayers' money wisely and appropriately.
Absolutely.
So for that, we thank you. And I've already stated to Henry that I'll be supporting you, obviously.
Absolutely, I appreciate
that. So I ask all my fellow residents in Queens, if you can vote for the man. Let's get rid of Do Nothing Donovan. Queens deserves better. And Henry, I'm looking forward to you.
Thank you very much.
Making our lives better.
Thank you. It's truly a pleasure. And I want to unite our county. I want to unite our borough. I want to unite Queens. I want to unite New York, because a lot of what separates us is really just mental. Right? I think we have more issues in common than we have that separate us. So we got to work together. We got to unite and fight for what's right for us to preserve our traditional values.
Well said. Henry Casey for Borough President 2025. The man in the right here.